Hello everyone, thanks for joining me. If you've seen any of my recent videos, you know that I've been taking the OM-5 Mark II from OM System out into the field with me to do bird and wildlife photography. Now, I've been really impressed with this little camera out in the field, and I wanted to do a quick little video about how I have the camera customized, talking about the settings that I changed, the customization for the buttons that I did as well. And my hope is that by kind of walking through how I have this camera set up and what I've used, that'll help you if you are using this camera for your bird and wildlife photography, if you're thinking about getting this camera for bird and wildlife photography. Hopefully the things that I've changed and customized will give you a good framework to work from. Obviously we all have our own way that we do things out in the field, but this is how I've had this camera set up for about 2 months now. It's worked really well for me, and now it just kind of works as second nature from where I have the buttons customized and the settings that I adjust quickly. So let's get into it. We're going to talk first with the settings inside the camera that I've changed, talking about the different sequential settings and that sort of thing. So let's start with that. Now, this is not going to be a full review on this camera, that's still to come, but we're going to be talking through a lot of things, nice features of this camera at the same time. So number one, the nicest thing about this menu system is the fact that it is the same as the OM-1 Mark II. So if you have the OM-1 Mark II from OM System, this is the exact same menu system. Everything is laid out exactly the same, and it is really nice to be able to go from one camera to the next and not be confused about the menu system. So let's dive into the menu here. Now, the first thing I changed with this camera was in dealing with engaging back button autofocus. It has a nice AF on button on the back here of the camera, which means that you are able to use that for back button autofocus. So I go in and change that. I turn on metering during sequential shooting because I like to be able to see how my exposure is changing when I'm doing sequential shooting. I also have it set that I allow spot metering. So if I'm using the spot metering setting, which I pretty much used the ESP mode for this camera the entire time I used it, but in case I was actually going to need to switch to spot metering, this allowed it so that the spot metering would follow just the single autofocus target area box, so you can meter based on that target area. I change and go into the drive mode. So I liked shooting in the sequential silent mode. So that's going to be the sequential with the heart next to it that indicates that it's silent mode. That's the drive mode that I used most of the time. We'll get into sequential settings next. And in this, I adjusted it so that basically you'd have the highest frames per second for each of the different drive modes that I had. So for sequential without silent shutter, I have it set to 6 frames per second. Silent sequential, I have it set to 10 frames per second. Sequential high and silent, I have it set to 30 frames per second. And then for the Pro Capture, I have it set so that it fires off 14 frames before I press the shutter, and that the frame count limiter is at 25, so that you get 14 frames before you press the shutter and 11 frames after you actually engage the shutter. And that is set at 10 frames per second. Pro Capture H, I have it the same way, so it takes 14 frames before the shutter is actually pressed, 11 frames after the shutter is pressed, and I have that set to 30 frames per second, so it's a much faster, much more frames per second. You fill that 25 frames a lot quicker. Next, for image stabilization, I have it set to SIS1. I like that mode because it allows stabilization in all directions, and it really works well for me. I find that one works the best. I have that same setting on my OM-1 Mark II. Now let's scroll all the way over to the AF setting menu, because that's going to be where we change most of the settings in this camera. So I'm shooting in continuous AF, so CAF plus MF. So if I need to do a manual focus override, I can do that. Sorry about all the blue jays that are squawking in the background. There's been a red-shouldered hawk that's been flying around in the background, and they have not been happy about it. So then we go down to release priority. I have that set to on for CAF plus tracking as well. Basically, that means that even if the camera thinks that whatever I'm taking a photo of isn't in focus, it will still take photos. That's something I always change on mine. Now, the OM-5 Mark II doesn't have bird or animal detect, so I have a lot of the face detection settings turned off. I did try this camera out photographing people, and it does work really well for that. And then as far as the AF area pointer, I have that set to on 2. Now, a lot of you asked me in my last video when I was talking about the autofocus settings for the OM-1 Mark II, everybody was questioning about the green boxes that showed up in the viewfinder during focusing. And basically that's where this setting comes into play here. So you have three different options. You can have it set to off, so it's not going to indicate and have that green box show up. You can have it set to on 1, where it'll kind of pop up with a green box and then it'll disappear. And then have it on 2, which it is the green box shows up and is constantly stays on. I like having it set to on 2. It's just a personal preference of mine. It basically makes it so that I immediately know what the camera is focusing on, and I can be sure that that's actually what I want to focus on. So that's how I have it. You can turn it off to these different settings. I have it set to on 2. Next, we get into the continuous autofocus sensitivity. I have it set to +1. You have different options you can do there, all the way up to +2 and all the way down to -2, depending on what you're photographing. And then let's get into the AF target settings and the operations there. So you're able to select which AF target areas you're able to scroll through when you adjust your settings there. I have had it set to allowing all of the target mode settings because I wanted to test out the different ones in this camera. But I found myself constantly using the single S target area mode, which is the smallest box you can use in this camera, because like I said, this camera doesn't have the bird or animal detect. So I was using the smallest box to really pinpoint where I wanted focus, and that's what I was using most of the time. Now, the one thing I really liked about this camera was that it included the C1 through C4 custom target area modes. So you're able to customize 4 different area modes to have different size boxes based on what you're photographing. It's something I really liked about the OM-1 Mark II. I use constantly in the OM-1 Mark II, and I have it set very similarly in the OM-5 Mark II. So you can customize the size of your autofocus box based on what you're photographing. Another thing that I like to have customized on my cameras when I get them is that I like to set an AF target mode in a home area, so that when I press a button that engages, bringing that target area back to the preset location and size, I can immediately find the autofocus target box. Sometimes the scene gets really distracting, you lose where your box is, you can press a button, it brings it right back, and I always have it set to bring it right back into the center of the frame, so I know exactly where it's going to go. And for this camera, I have it set to this single-S mode, so that for whatever reason, if I'm using a larger autofocus box, that's not working, I can press a button, it brings the target area back home, and it brings me back to that single autofocus target area box so that I can kind of work right from there immediately after hitting that button. Next, we can go into video modes. There's a lot of different video modes you can do. I have it set to the 4K, 30p, and an L-8. That's basically the highest quality video you can get with this camera. You can have a whole bunch of different video modes you can adjust in settings that wise. For image stabilizer for video, I have it set to MIS-2. That basically means that it doesn't digitally crop your images to stabilize the footage. It just stabilizes it based on the sensor. I don't like to have it crop my footage in. I'd rather do that in post if I wanted to do that. So that's basically most of the settings that I have customized. Before we get into button customization and settings, I wanted to talk about you're able to customize a menu on this camera. Just like the OM-1 Mark II, you're able to create a My Menu, which is really useful, really nice, because you're able to put things in that My Menu that you constantly use. Now, the great thing about this camera is that you can press the OK button back here, and it'll bring up your main display here, like that. So this basically tells you a lot of the things that you're going to be adjusted. A lot of the settings you need to adjust are going to be right here just by pressing the OK button. That pops up. You can scroll through and adjust things that you want, like that. But some things don't appear on that main menu, so you can go in and do a My Menu. So for that, I have a couple of things that I put on my My Menu, basically things that you can't necessarily adjust quickly on that main screen there. The first thing that I have set is my sequential shooting settings. That allows me to go right into there. I can immediately adjust the frames per second in the camera and adjust it based on the shooting situation that I have there. Next, I have the sensitivity for the continuous autofocus. I can easily press that. I can adjust the sensitivity if I'm noticing things are not working right, it's not tracking as well. I can just go right into my Menu and get it from there. Next, you can get into the target mode settings. I have that as my third option. And that basically, I have it, like I said, I have it so that all the target areas were available to me. If I wanted to limit which target modes I had available to me during a certain outing, I could just go right in there and limit the ones, so I didn't have to go deep into the menu to find that. Next, I have peaking settings. I did a lot of manual focusing work with this camera. I'll get into that during my full review of the camera. But in here, I have a quick way to get into those peaking settings so I can adjust that if I need to. Next, I had sound recording settings. I was doing some video work with this camera, and this allowed me to get right into the sound settings. That's pretty much the one setting that I needed to adjust for video stuff. And then I have an option for formatting the card on the bottom there, because that's, I do that every time I enter an SD card to this camera, so I didn't have to go into the menus to format a card that way. All right, so let's get into button customization for this camera. There's a lot of buttons that can be customized, not as many as the OM-1 Mark II, but still enough to make this camera very useful for bird and wildlife photography. We'll just start at the top here. So this top one here on this dial, we have the drive mode, timer mode, and then we have a way to get into kind of the main screen, your settings screen there. I didn't adjust any of these two buttons. They provided all the functionality I needed to right there. Next, we have the dial up here on the top. You're able to adjust the mode. I shoot in manual mode, but you're able to have a custom mode as well. And then you can obviously shoot in your shutter priority, aperture priority, program mode, auto. There's a scene and art mode, which I didn't really do because that's just not really what I do. And then a bulb timer as well for really long exposures. And then we have the shutter button up here with the front dial, the rear dial, and then we have the CP button and then the record button. And then up front we have one function button that you can program up there. We have the ISO button up here, and then the back menu, the keypad, and then these four buttons as well. So as far as customization goes, the first one that I customized was the front function button. Now I have that one set to adjust my target area mode. So I can press this button, it brings up which target area I'm going to be using. Bring it up here, so the front dial adjusts the size, and then the keypad adjusts the location of it. So that's the one setting that I adjusted and played with the most, and that was because I'm constantly changing the autofocus target area when I'm photographing subjects. You can't just stick with one target area. You need to cycle through and figure out which one works the best. Now I was ending up using the single S mode the most because I was able to pinpoint focus using that. But this allowed me to adjust that really quickly. Next, I kept the ISO button the same. I was a little worried that there wasn't a second button up front because I typically have the second front button to adjust my ISO, but the back button actually worked really well for adjusting ISO. I got really used to it really quickly because the nice thing about these cameras is you're able to just press the ISO button and it brings up the ISO and kind of keeps it up on the camera, and then you're able to scroll through and adjust. So that's actually really nice. Next, let's go to the top of the camera. So the CP button. That button I didn't actually customize. I left it how it was programmed in the camera, and that brings you into the computational modes for the camera, which was a really nice feature because it allowed me to actually use these features a lot more easily in the field. I found myself using high-res shot mode more. I was using the live ND filters more because it was so easy to access them in the field because it's just right at the push of a button. It sounds silly, but it actually really does work and is a really nice feature to have. Next, in photo mode for the record button, I have that set to the magnification mode. So I could press this in the field, brings up the magnifier, I press it again, and I'm able to magnify what I'm focusing on so I can ensure that what I'm taking a picture of is actually in focus. Then I have the AF on button programmed to AF on. The error pads, I have that programmed so that I can adjust where my target area is in the frame. And then the menu button, info button, and these other buttons back here are not able to be customized. You don't really need to have them customized. You are able to adjust these buttons up here on the top of your camera. If you want to customize those, I chose not to because it's nice to be able to adjust your drive mode just right there on top. And it's also these buttons I don't really use much because, especially with a long lens, you have your other hand kind of supporting the lens out front. and you don't really have quick access to these buttons over here. Now, another thing that I really like about this camera is the fact that it includes the toggle switch up here on top, the FN lever. Now, I do a lot of video work, so how I have it set is that the 1 position, I'm in photo mode, the 2 position, I am in video mode. Obviously, if you're not shooting a lot of video, you don't need to have that setting, and instead I would suggest that you have this change your target area mode. So you can have a quick way of adjusting, maybe going from the single S mode to maybe a medium-sized target area box or the cross mode box, whatever the case may be. That would be a quick way of adjusting your target area modes with that. Again, I have it set to switch from photo to video mode because I'm doing a lot of video work, and I found that was a lot quicker for me to do than having to change the dial up here on top of the camera. So that is it. That is the main features that I changed, the main settings that I adjusted to make this camera useful for bird and wildlife photography. I've actually really enjoyed using this camera out in the field. I was a little worried with how small it was, and there's less buttons to customize. But actually using it in the field for 2 months now, I've really enjoyed using it. It fits really nicely in my hand, and it's definitely a capable camera for bird photography. So again, if you're using this camera for bird photography, or if you're thinking about using this camera for bird photography, I hope the settings and the customization that I used for this camera will help guide you in a better way to customize your camera. If you're looking for advice on how to customize the camera, I found that it worked really well for what I was trying to photograph and capture, and I was able to get some really good results with it. So that's it, just a quick video, trying to be a quick video on how I customize this camera. And thank you so much for OM System for loaning me this camera so that I could test it out in the field and use it for bird and wildlife photography. So that's it. If you're interested in the full review of this camera, that's going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, I will see you out there. Thanks for watching.